Good evening, everybody. What a week it has been. I am Dr. Tamara McCants, and this is Pharmacy for the People. Pharmacy for the People is a passion project of mine, and it is your weekly health information source in everyday layman's terms so that you can understand what you need to do to be able to take care of yourselves. And for my fellow healthcare professionals on here that may be listening through LinkedIn, I want us to have a conversation about how we can have consistent messaging for our community so that they can take care of themselves. So I am so excited again to be with you all tonight. Thank you so much, those of you that listened in last week or that viewed my video. You guys give me inspiration to continue to do this. This is totally stepping outside of my comfort zone. So let's get to it. So tonight's topic, unvaccinated people are not your problem. And this may be a little controversial, so I am willing to see what people have to say. I want you to drop your messages in the chat, but I just want to help us to understand what it really means when people get vaccinated. COVID continues to run rampant, ruining everybody's Martin Luther King weekend plans, including my own. So I am also being personally affected just based on people who's testing positive, symptomatic or not symptomatic. You know, the CDC guidance seems to be changing with the wind, but it's because they are trying to figure out how do they balance the science and protect the public or keep up with the propaganda, depending on the lens that you're looking at it from. So let me first just start off with how do vaccines work in your body? So vaccines are not anything new. Vaccines have been around for hundreds of years to help to prevent what they call vaccine preventable diseases. And all a vaccine is a preparation that is provided to your body to help your body to obtain what's called active acquired immunity to a particular infectious disease. And when we're talking about infectious diseases, we're talking about diseases that infect your body. So that can be both a bacteria or a virus. And so what the vaccine does is it causes active immunity so the active immunity or your body's ability to protect itself comes when it is exposed to the disease organism, which can be, again, either bacteria or a virus. And so that can come either naturally through natural immunity or by catching the disease, or it can come from being exposed to the virus or by taking the virus. So the vaccine is supposed to help trigger the immune system and put the immune system on guard to produce antibodies. And what antibodies does is those are basically your soldiers in your body that helps to help to fight disease. And so again, those soldiers in your body are awakened either by getting the vaccine or by being exposed to the disease naturally. So it gets the body hype. It gets the immune system ready. So it's like, okay, I see you. So next time it comes around, your body is ready to fight it so that you don't get as sick or produce what the disease will produce and the symptoms that's associated with that disease. So what gets a little complicated is if we're trying to fight either a bacteria or a virus. Bacteria are much more cut and dry. Usually you get infected with a bacteria, you go get an antibiotic and you're good. You can cure the disease or you can stop the disease process. But with a virus, it's much more complicated. And we know this through several viruses that we have encountered before, like the flu, which you know that you have to get a shot every year to be protected against, and even HIV, which to date, publicly, there is no vaccine available because the virus are much more complicated. And the reason why the virus is much more complicated is because a virus makes a lot of mistakes when they reproduce. And because they need your body to reproduce, they need a host in order to reproduce. So it's almost like playing telephone. Like they can't communicate and reproduce on themselves. They have to tell somebody, which is your host cells, to reproduce. And in that reproduction, mistakes are made. And so that's how all of these variants and all of that becomes, goes into play. And so a virus is very complicated. We can't just hunt down a virus, and it's not like it's always a constant moving target. And so it's no different for the COVID-19 virus. So how do you determine whether or not you need to get vaccinated? And this is vaccinated not just against COVID-19, but against the flu or even pneumonia or any of those diseases that can be prevented by a vaccine. So getting a vaccine basically gives your immune system the best chance to fight the disease, especially when you are at risk. And people who are at risk are people whose immune systems are not really strong enough, or they are a little bit weaker and can't just fight the disease on their own. And so these people are people with underlying disease, people that interact a lot with people, which is why vaccines for healthcare professionals have long been mandated, and also people with weak immune systems or documents in weak immune systems. And these are people that are on long-term steroids, people that are being treated for cancer, and people that are being treated for HIV and AIDS with a low CD4 count. Because some people that have HIV and AIDS have strong immune systems that are just like people that don't have HIV, just like the average person that's not infected with HIV. So it's just really a case-by-case basis. So I know that we all want to just hear about COVID and talk about COVID, but I want you to consider all vaccines and what it looks like for all vaccines. So to boost or not to boost, that is the question. What are you considering when you're deciding to get boosted? The COVID-19 vaccine is not the only vaccine that you boost for. You also boost for Tdap and some of the other vaccines, especially those of us that went to college. You got a booster for that. So what the booster does is that it increases the level of the immune response. Again, equips your body's army, which is your immune system, because they may have naturally decreased it or waned. And so the justification for the booster, especially for the COVID-19 vaccines, came through when people started having what they call breakthrough cases. Now, a lot of what is discussed with COVID-19 is to protect the public or to protect populations of people, not really individuals. So when they were telling us to get vaccinated, it was more to protect the overall public and the strained healthcare system, because so many people were getting sick and getting hospitalized, and our healthcare system was not ready to deal with and manage all those droves and droves of people in such a small period of time. And so, as with one popular vaccine, I'm just going to give you the numbers. When they first got approved, all they proved was that after 2 weeks, 94.1% of people did not get COVID vaccine after 2 weeks. After 5 months, studies have shown that for the same vaccines, that number decreased to 93.2%. And yes, we're talking about 0.9%, the 0.9% chance. And then in some other further studies, we saw that with this same vaccine, after 14 through 120 days, which is a wide range, they saw that maybe only 89% of people were able to not get COVID after 3 months or 4 months. And this is what justified the booster, the 5% difference. And so it's up to you to determine whether or not you're going to get the booster. And sometimes it might be up to your employer. But what It's happening when the government, when your employer, and when other people are mandating that people get the vaccine and that they get the booster. It's to protect the public and the healthcare system. So the vaccine protects you, not other people. So stop blaming non-vaccinated people for COVID, because or stop blaming non-vaccinated people for the reason why COVID is still rampant, because we are seeing people that's boosted, people that's vaccinated and boosted, getting COVID, and they are still getting sick. But what's not happening to them is they are not dying and they are not being hospitalized with severe disease. And although that's not what they told us in the beginning, that's not what they led us to believe when we first were getting vaccinated, that's what it is today. And so we encourage you to be a part of the community and help the population by getting vaccinated and getting boosted, and help decrease the burden of the healthcare system. But just know that you being vaccinated only protects you. Thank you so much for joining me again. If you want to continue the conversation, just leave a message, and I'll see you next week.